Market update Thursday, 17th of June. Another strong day for markets yesterday. With the exception of NASDAQ, NASDAQ declined partly due to investor indecision about today's Federal Reserve's rate decision and then the conference that follows afterwards. The bullishness from the Middle East very much continues, but it seems to have fizzled out temporarily due to this big event which is taking place today, the rates decision. I'm expecting a hold, so is the broad market, about 97% expectation for Federal Reserve to hold the rate today. Other than that, in the Bank of England is deciding on rates tomorrow. Again, I'm expecting a hold from the Bank of England, given the economic conditions. The UK inflation actually came out lower than expectations at 2.8% earlier this morning. The Eurozone inflation came out at 3.2%, again in line with inflation expectations from the markets. So no surprises there either. I would like to spend a couple more minutes on SpaceX. Everybody is very excited about SpaceX. It opened the IPO at $135. That was the original price, and since then it has risen to $200 a share. So since the IPO, it's up over 50%, and it has now overtaken Amazon in terms of its market cap, which is quite remarkable. And it's not far off from Microsoft either. But what people probably don't understand, some of the retail audience, it would be, I think, useful for them to understand that the part of the reason for this bullishness, particularly yesterday, is the stock became available for options trading. So there was a lot of demand from calls and from the derivatives market. Even people who were writing the calls, which means who were short, who had negative view on SpaceX, they also had to sort of buy it in order to protect themselves in case the stock continues going up. You have a lot of risk if you are a call writer. If you're selling derivative calls, that means you have almost unlimited liability, because you are saying to markets that this stock is going down, but if it keeps going up, it can carry on. There is no cap there, if you see what I mean. So that is quite an important thing to understand. So that's part of the reason for continued demand for the stock, is it has now become available for day traders and derivatives markets and sort of thing, if that makes sense. Another reason for the demand, there are new ETFs being launched, even leverage products for SpaceX in particular, which also makes it quite, in terms of buying power, the strength continues. Another thing which is worth mentioning is there are lockup periods. So when you buy something at an IPO, there's a lockup period. You can't come out of it necessarily within the lockup period. The lockup period will last until the next quarterly earnings release. But for this stock, it's a staggered lockup period. So certain percentages could be sold, and then it's sort of staggered. The stock would become more in terms of its availability. They only raised about 55% of the total market cap, but the IPO, the availability for the stock will become higher further down the road. So as I always say, if you want to dip in, if you want to buy it, feel free to do it. But this channel is all about making sure you don't have too much exposure. If you don't put all your eggs in one basket, things can change very quickly. Sentiment can change very, very quickly. So if you have any questions around anything around markets, etc., what's been driving the markets, why the US, it's also worth keeping an eye on the US Treasury's 10-year yield. It is below 4.5%. Whenever it rises above 4.5%, it makes the US government bonds more attractive, far more attractive. And that means there is less demand for stocks, because govies, government bonds, are delivering a decent yield. So worth keeping those factors in mind, worth keeping an eye on the 10-year US Treasuries yield as well. Any questions, as always, drop them in the comments. Thanks very much. Cheers.